Prince Pavel Bermondt Avalov was born on the 16th of March 1877 in the city of Tbilisi, in what is now modern-day Georgia. From a young age, Pavel took a great interest in music, and in 1901 he joined the Transbaikal Cossacks as a music conductor. Although he was originally born into a Jewish family, during his time in the military he converted to Orthodox Christianity and would remain a devout Christian for the rest of his life. When the First World War began in 1914, he was promoted to captain, and during the war, he somehow managed to get wounded on 7 separate occasions. I don't even know how you do that, but he managed it. However, his bravery paid off, and he was awarded the Order of St. George, the highest decoration in the Russian military. When Tsar Nicholas II stepped down in 1917, he was put in charge of a Lancer division in St. Petersburg, and was promoted to the rank of corporal by the provisional government. He then immediately began to plot a monarchist coup against the provisional government, but unfortunately for him, nothing ever came out of it. The Russian Civil War kicked off only a few months later, and there were a lot of different factions. Far more than I could ever hope to cover in one video, but there were 2 main ones. The Red Army, who wanted communism, fairly self-explanatory, and the White Army. You can think of these guys as a I hate communism club. And while most of the other generals in the White Army did not publicly support the return of the monarchy, in an attempt to appeal to the largest possible group of people, as far as Pavel Bermondt Avalov was concerned, it was the Tsar's government or no government. To explain what happened next, we have to look at what was happening with the Baltics at the time. Since the end of the First World War, a group of Baltic Germans and Freikorps under the command of General Rudiger von der Goltz had been fighting several wars in the newly independent Baltic states. And although they'd been initially successful in driving the Bolsheviks out of Latvia, they did not receive the land and Latvian citizenship they'd been promised. And given that was the main reason a lot of the troops were fighting in the first place, they weren't exactly happy about it. After pressure from the British government, the German Chancellor and the German High Command demanded that they return to Germany. But the majority of the troops simply refused. They were desperate to continue fighting and receive the land they'd been promised one way or another. But to avoid Germany getting blamed for their actions, they renamed themselves the West Russian Volunteer Army and put Pavel Bermondt Avalov in charge. Now, a smart man in Pavel Bermondt Avalov's position would have used his new German army to destroy the Red Army, restore order to Russia, and let his men settle there. Unfortunately for the Bermonttians, Pavel Bermondt Avalov was not a very smart man. On the 4th of October 1919, the Bermonttians marched on Riga and demanded that they be let into the city. The Latvian government said no. The Bermonttians then attacked Riga, and heavy fighting ensued, with both sides using planes and poison gas. At one point, the Bermonttians occupied a large part of Riga, as well as several other Latvian cities. But unfortunately for them, it was the Latvians who ultimately won, thanks to reinforcements from the east, as well as help from the Estonians and the Lithuanians. After the war ended, Pavel moved to Germany and published his autobiography titled The Struggle Against Bolshevism, where he argued that Russians and Germans have to team up to destroy communism once and for all. While he was living there, a certain guy named Adolf Hitler came to power. Despite being born into a Jewish family, Pavel actually really liked quite a few of Hitler's ideas, and tried to create his own political party called the Russian National Socialist Party. Look, I never said he was a good guy. However, he did also get involved with a lot of far-right parties Hitler didn't like, because of which in 1939 he was imprisoned by the Gestapo. I really don't get what Hitler was trying to do here. The man made you a fan club. Talk about being ungrateful. Anyway, luckily for Pavel, after spending over a year and a half in prison, he was freed thanks to a personal request from Benedetto Mussolini. After this, Pavel was deported to Italy. Then he settled down in Serbia for a while, and in 1941 he left Europe for good, leaving for America, where he would spend the rest of his life. On the 27th of December 1973, Pavel died in New York at the age of 96. Supposedly, anyway. Seriously, I've looked everywhere and I can't find the cause of death, or a single photo of him after the war for that matter. For all I know, he's still out there somewhere plotting his revenge. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you liked it, subscribe and comment who you want me to cover next.